Did you know there are countries Americans cannot visit in 2025? Some of these are due to diplomatic tensions, while others stem from safety concerns. Stay tuned to uncover the reasons behind these travel restrictions and the fascinating stories tied to each nation. Traveling the world is often about freedom and exploration, but some destinations are off-limits to American passport holders. In this video, we'll explore 10 countries Americans can't visit in 2025. Our criteria include government travel bans, safety advisories, and countries that simply refuse entry to U.S. citizens. Along the way, we'll uncover fascinating cultural, historical, and political insights. Country number 1. North Korea. North Korea remains completely closed to American tourists. Since 2017, the U.S. government has banned its citizens from traveling there. The ban is due to safety risks, including potential detention and strict surveillance. North Korea is known for its grand military parades and massive statues of leaders. The capital, Pyongyang, is a city of tightly controlled propaganda and showcases. The Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, represents the tension between North and South Korea. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, still influences U.S.-North Korea relations. The government controls every aspect of life, including media, jobs, and movement. North Korea's UK ideology promotes self-reliance and nationalism. Its cultural festivals feature mass games with thousands of performers. Americans caught traveling there face severe penalties, including imprisonment. The Hermit Kingdom's isolationism makes it a mysterious destination. Tourism is only allowed through state-approved guides for select nationalities. The ban is regularly reviewed by the U.S. Department of State. If you love learning about global travel rules, hit the subscribe button for more updates. Country number 2. Syria. Syria has been inaccessible to Americans due to its ongoing civil war. It is classified as a Level 4 travel advisory zone. Do not travel. The country has faced political unrest and violence since 2011. Ancient ruins like Palmyra showcase Syria's incredible historical wealth. Damascus, one of the world's oldest cities, offers glimpses into ancient civilizations. Syria's diverse culture reflects Arab, Kurdish, and Assyrian influences. The country's conflict has displaced millions of its citizens. Many areas are controlled by rival factions, making them dangerous. The war has damaged UNESCO World Heritage sites across the country. Syria was once a vibrant hub of trade on the ancient Silk Road. Diplomatic relations between Syria and the U.S. are severely strained. Americans face risks like kidnapping or imprisonment if they travel here. Humanitarian crises and sanctions worsen living conditions. Travelers are advised to stay away until the situation stabilizes. Despite the restrictions, Syria's history and culture remain globally significant. Country number 3. Iran has strict entry restrictions for American citizens. Diplomatic ties between the U.S. and Iran have been cut since 1979. American travelers require supervised tours and government-approved visas. Iran is famous for its stunning Persian architecture, like the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque. The country's bazaars, such as the Grand Bazaar of Tehran, are iconic. Iran's history dates back to ancient empires like the Achaemenids and Safavids. Relations soured after the Iranian Revolution and the U.S. Embassy hostage crisis. Political sanctions limit trade and tourism between the two countries. Iran's cultural festivals like Nowruz, Persian New Year, are globally admired. The U.S. advises its citizens against traveling to Iran due to safety risks. Detention of foreign nationals has occurred under vague charges of espionage. The country's mountainous regions offer spectacular natural beauty. Americans traveling illegally may face fines or imprisonment. Despite tensions, Iran remains a key player in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Enjoying the content? Don't forget to subscribe for more insights. Country number 4. Yemen is off-limits to Americans due to its prolonged civil war. The country has faced immense destruction since the conflict began in 2014. It's classified as a do-not-travel zone due to violence and terrorism. Yemen's old city of Sana'a is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The historic architecture features iconic mud brick towers. The port city of Aden holds historical significance as a trading hub. The conflict has caused a humanitarian crisis, with millions in need of aid. The U.S. Embassy in Yemen closed in 2015, making consular services unavailable. Al-Qaeda's presence in the region poses a threat to travelers. Yemen's Socotra Island is famous for its unique biodiversity. The island is home to dragon's blood trees, found nowhere else on Earth. U.S. citizens traveling to Yemen risk kidnapping or injury. Historical landmarks have been severely damaged by the ongoing war. Country number 5, Libya. Libya is another country where Americans are not permitted to travel. The country has been unstable since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. Warring factions have divided Libya into competing territories. The U.S. government warns of risks like terrorism, kidnapping, and armed conflict. Libya's vast desert landscape is home to breathtaking archaeological sites. Leptis Magna is a Roman city and UNESCO World Heritage Site in Libya. The country's oil reserves have made it a focal point of geopolitical interest. American citizens face strict entry restrictions due to diplomatic tensions. Libya's coastal cities, like Tripoli, offer glimpses of Mediterranean history. Political instability has led to the closure of the U.S. Embassy in Libya. Libya's ancient trade routes were crucial in connecting Africa and Europe. Americans traveling to Libya illegally face detention or severe penalties. Cultural highlights include traditional Berber music and dance. Despite its turmoil, Libya's historical significance remains immense. Travelers are advised to avoid the region until peace is restored. Country number 6, Somalia. Somalia is highly dangerous for American travelers in 2025. The country has struggled with piracy, terrorism, and political instability. Mogadishu, the capital, is a city under constant threat of violence. Al-Shabaab, a terrorist group, operates actively within the region. Somalia's coastline is one of the longest in Africa, rich in marine life. Traditional Somali culture emphasizes poetry and storytelling. Americans are at risk of kidnapping and attacks in Somalia. The U.S. does not have a functioning embassy in Somalia for consular help. Somalia's nomadic lifestyle has shaped its unique cuisine and traditions. The country's historical trade links connected Africa, Arabia, and Asia. Pirate activities in the Gulf of Aden have further discouraged travel. U.S. citizens are advised to avoid Somalia under all circumstances. Despite its issues, Somalia's resilience is evident in its vibrant culture. Somali textiles and handicrafts reflect centuries of artisanal expertise. The risks far outweigh the rewards for travelers considering this destination. Country number: Afghanistan. Afghanistan remains a no-go zone for Americans in 2025. The Taliban regained control of the country in 2021, heightening security risks. Afghanistan is renowned for its ancient Silk Road heritage. The Bamiyan Buddhas, destroyed in 2001, were once global landmarks. Kabul, the capital, reflects a mix of historical charm and modern struggles. American travelers face dangers like terrorism and unlawful detention. The U.S. government advises against all travel to Afghanistan. Afghanistan's mountain ranges offer stunning but inaccessible landscapes. The country's rich cultural history includes Persian and Mughal influences. Relations between the U.S. and Afghanistan remain strained post-occupation. Traditional Afghan handicrafts like carpets are globally renowned. U.S. consular support is unavailable due to the embassy's closure. Afghanistan's geopolitical importance continues to shape global affairs. Traveling to this region as an American is considered highly unsafe. Call to action. If you're finding this list informative, subscribe now for more. Country number 8, Russia-US. Russia relations have soured drastically, making travel challenging. Russia has restricted visas for Americans due to ongoing geopolitical tensions. The conflict in Ukraine has heightened the strain between the two nations. Russia's cultural highlights include the Kremlin and Red Square in Moscow. St. Petersburg is famous for its Hermitage Museum and Winter Palace. The Trans-Siberian Railway is one of the world's most iconic train journeys. U.S. citizens face surveillance and legal risks when traveling to Russia. Russia's historic role in world wars adds to its geopolitical importance. Traditional Russian ballet and literature are internationally celebrated. Diplomatic tensions have resulted in reduced embassy operations. Russian cuisine, like borscht and pelmeni, reflects its diverse culture. Visa restrictions and sanctions make entry difficult for Americans. Despite tensions, Russia remains a land of remarkable cultural achievements. Travel to Russia requires extreme caution for U.S. citizens. Political disagreements continue to complicate bilateral relations. Country number 9, Belarus, has become increasingly hostile to American travelers due to strained U.S.-Belarus relations. The political unrest following the 2020 elections has heightened tensions. Belarus is closely allied with Russia, affecting its diplomatic stance. Minsk, the capital, is known for its Soviet-era architecture and war memorials. The country's picturesque countryside is dotted with castles and lakes. Americans are often denied visas or face strict entry regulations. The U.S. government has issued travel advisories due to arbitrary detentions. Belarus is also under international scrutiny for its human rights record. The Brest Fortress is a significant historical site from World War II. Relations with the U.S. worsened after sanctions were imposed on Belarusian officials. Traditional Belarusian cuisine includes hearty dishes like draniki, potato pancakes. Travelers are advised to avoid Belarus due to political instability and risks. The country's role as a gateway for Russia's actions further complicates travel. Americans entering illegally risk severe penalties, including imprisonment. Despite its challenges, Belarus holds a deep cultural and historical legacy. Country number 10, Cuba. Although Cuba allows limited U.S. travel, restrictions are stricter in 2025. U.S. citizens can only visit under specific categories, like family visits or journalism. Tourism is explicitly prohibited under the U.S. embargo regulations. Cuba is famous for its vibrant music, dance, and classic cars. Havana, the capital, is known for its colorful streets and colonial-era buildings. Americans must navigate complex rules, including authorized travel itineraries. The U.S. and Cuba have a long history of strained diplomatic relations. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 was a pivotal moment in global history. Despite restrictions, Cuba's beaches and cigars remain world-famous. Violation of travel rules can lead to fines and legal consequences for Americans. Cuba's culture blends Spanish, African, and indigenous influences. The embargo limits American businesses and investments in Cuba. Political differences continue to hinder bilateral relations between the nations. The U.S. State Department regularly updates guidelines for Cuba travel. If you found this list insightful, subscribe for more engaging content. Traveling is an enriching experience, but it's crucial to know where you're welcome and where you're not. These 10 countries highlight how politics, safety, and history shape travel restrictions for Americans in 2025. While these destinations may be off-limits, they remain fascinating for their culture, history, and global significance. Subscribe to stay updated on the ever-changing world of travel and discover more about destinations around the globe.